It's an amazing thing.
Panagiotis Vasilakis, the artist known as Takis, was born in 1925 in Athens. His childhood took place during the occupation by the Germans and the Italians in World War II, and immediately after was followed by a Greek civil war. He was very involved in different political groups at the time and became a sculptor later in his life, in his late 20s. As a young man, Takis took great interest in ancient sculpture in particular, and his early work show an indebtedness to that, but also to modern sculpture. He was particularly interested in the work of Giacometti and Picasso. He was self-taught and an autodidact in all types of material, whether it was philosophy or history or politics. He moved to Paris in 1954, and it's in Paris that you see this transformation of his sculpture. There are two key moments in Takis' work. One happens around 1957, after a trip from London, and while waiting for the train, he becomes inspired by the flashing lights and the antenna and aerials that he sees around the station platform. He started to make sculpture, which he called signals, and which became one of his most iconic type of work. The other key moment happens in 1959 when the artist discovers magnetism as a way for sculpting. He looked for a way to break the conventions of what sculpture could be. Instead of a solid, heavy form, he tried to create a kind of sculpture that floats in space. When the artist has defied gravity and defied the forces that normally keep us on the ground. In preparation for an exhibition of Takis' work, I had the opportunity to travel to Athens in 2017 with my co-curator, Guy Brett. Guy and Takis have a long-standing relationship. They met in the early 60s in London when Guy was an art critic, and they became very involved in an artist-run space known as Signals Gallery. Takis is living and working in Athens to this day. He's been there since the mid-'80s, and in 1993 he created a research center for arts and the sciences called the KETE Foundation and is now known as the Takis Foundation. It's a research center, it's a library, an archive, and it's also the studio where the artist makes his work.
So elemental.
Takis often comments that the focus of his work is around energy. And sound is one of those key elements of energy. It's an invisible force that Takis makes present using a number of different devices. It's something contemplative, and Takis has often thought about it in relationship to the cosmos and to energy fields and the sounds of the universe. Takis' studio, he began developing it in the 60s, early 70s, and it wasn't completed until much later. It's on a hillside with a view of Athens and the Parthenon in the distance. It's a very strange and bewitching place with lots of movement, giant sculptures that are swirling in the wind. It's magical, and it was wonderful to see Guy Brett and Takis together, to see the friendship that they have been carrying on for so many years.
You asked me how I did this work.
Yes.
Well, I'll show you how I did it. This is giving energy, and I used to, every day I do, and by accident, it's the same thing.
Yes. Is energy a thing? I mean, it's...
The energy stays inside you, the energy. I feel more young than you. I know how to use the energy, first of all. I have the experience which you don't have because you are young. So, you don't know how to use your energy, therefore you are not young. I am young, not you. And I want to, want to spend my energy working on this.
Takis has a career that has spanned more than 70 years. Takis' works are mesmerizing. The way they use sound and light, they're constantly moving and changing. There's something sensual about these works that brings the audience in to look closely and take delight in these sculptural and sonic worlds. It breaks the conventions of what sculpture can be.